For nearly 3 decades, Britain trusted him with its deepest secrets. He worked alongside senior intelligence officers, handled classified operations, and helped shape Western strategy during the Cold War. To colleagues inside British intelligence, he appeared calm, intelligent, and completely reliable. The perfect Englishman. But behind the polished reputation, behind the loyalty, behind the carefully constructed image of a patriot, Kim Philby was secretly working for the Soviet Union. For years, one man quietly betrayed Britain from the inside. And by the time suspicion finally reached him, the damage had already spread across multiple intelligence operations, compromised agents, and allied governments. This is the story of Kim Philby, the spy who betrayed Britain. To understand how one man deceived an entire intelligence system, you first have to understand the world that trusted him. In the early 20th century, Britain still viewed itself as the center of global influence. Its intelligence services were shaped by class, social connections, and elite education. Many senior officials believed loyalty could be recognized instinctively. A man from the right background, the right schools, the right social circles, was assumed to be trustworthy. That assumption would become one of the greatest intelligence failures in modern history. Born in 1912, Harold Adrian Russell Philby, later known as Kim Philby, grew up surrounded by influence and political discussion. His father, St. John Philby, was a respected British colonial administrator, explorer, and advisor with deep experience in the Middle East. From the outside, Kim Philby's future appeared predictable. Elite education, government service, prestige, and in many ways he fit naturally into Britain's ruling establishment. He was intelligent, charming under pressure, soft-spoken, and socially adaptable. The kind of man British intelligence believed it could trust without hesitation. But beneath that image, a different set of loyalties was beginning to form. The 1930s were marked by instability across Europe. The global economic depression had devastated millions of lives. Democracies appeared weak. Extremist movements were gaining power. And across the continent, many young intellectuals were searching for radical political answers. Fascism was rising rapidly in Germany, Italy, and Spain. At universities like Cambridge, communism increasingly attracted students who believed capitalism had failed. Kim Philby was among them, not publicly, not recklessly. He understood the value of appearing ordinary. While many political activists openly declared their beliefs, Philby learned to conceal his. At Cambridge, Philby became connected to intellectual circles sympathetic to Marxism and the Soviet Union. Some members of these groups would later become part of what history now calls the Cambridge Five, a network of Soviet spies who successfully infiltrated the British establishment. Among them were Guy Burgess, Donald Maclean, Anthony Blunt, John Cairncross. To Soviet intelligence, Cambridge represented an extraordinary opportunity, not because students possessed immediate power, but because many of them eventually would. Diplomats, civil servants, military officers, intelligence officials. The Soviet strategy was patient. Recruit young men early. Allow them to rise naturally through British institutions. And wait. Philby stood out immediately. Soviet handlers considered him disciplined, politically committed, and unusually capable of controlling emotion under pressure. Those qualities made him extremely valuable. By the mid-1930s, Kim Philby had formally entered the world of Soviet espionage. The precise details of his recruitment remain debated by historians. But intelligence records show that Soviet operatives viewed him as a long-term asset with exceptional potential. And from that moment forward, Philby began living two separate lives, one visible, one hidden. To friends and colleagues, he appeared ambitious, educated, and patriotic. But privately, he was now working on behalf of Soviet intelligence. His handlers reportedly gave him critical instructions early: avoid attention, avoid ideological extremism in public, blend in completely. And Philby followed those instructions with remarkable discipline. Unlike careless spies driven by money or ego, Philby appeared motivated by ideology. He believed the Soviet Union represented the future, and he believed deception was justified in service of that cause. That conviction made him especially dangerous, because a spy motivated by belief is often far harder to expose than one motivated by profit. During this period, Philby also began reshaping his public image. He distanced himself from visible communist associations, adopted more conservative appearances, and slowly constructed the identity British institutions expected to see. It was a calculated transformation, not into a revolutionary, but into the perfect insider, and the strategy worked. Because Britain's intelligence establishment was still relying on assumptions that would soon prove catastrophic. The belief that class guaranteed loyalty, the belief that men from elite backgrounds could be trusted instinctively, the belief that betrayal always looked suspicious. Kim Philby understood something his future employers did not. The safest place for a spy was often at the center of power itself. Soon, he would begin moving closer to British intelligence, closer to classified operations, closer to the secrets of the West itself. And nobody suspected him, not yet.